Now shut up. Sponsored by Squarespace. Seriously.
It's the kids' summer holiday from school. Hello everyone, it is the summer holiday from kids' schools. All the kids have been here, just, I've been trying to make videos. This will be the only video I've managed to make in this whole summer holiday. I've been busy. Yeah, I mean, like, there's as a dad, you got to do other things, Even though you work from home and you made that quite clear to the children, children just don't understand things. I mean, kids come first, don't they? Like, if you're a parent, you got to look after the kids, and that's kind of what you're supposed to do, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, kids are essentially like just really short idiots. Hot take, but they are. They're just like, they don't really know that much. They're not very smart and they're very short. So I decided I need to get out of the workshop, get out of the house, far away from the house, and get a bit of exercise and vitamin D, and maybe create a build around being outside, which is what I did. Today's video is basically what can Bill make using stuff he finds in the woods. No, I mean everything. I mean, like, the whole thing is just going to be made using whatever I can find. And I don't mean bits of junk, like in the wood, because I can find bits of junk in the wood. I mean, like, natural growing things, like sticks, natural growing sticks, and sticks. I don't know much about nature. Obviously, I'm going to be using glue and paints. I'm not going to be making my own glue or paints because I'm not like, Bobby Fingers. So I'm looking for sticks. Maybe like acorns and nuts and tree bark, but not tree bark from the actual living trees. Apparently that kills the tree. If you just take one little bit of tree bark off, it kills the whole tree. I heard that. I don't know if that's true. It seems a bit unlikely. But I didn't do that anyway. And luckily I found a tree that was kind of decimated in the woods. It was kind of wood chipped. It must have been diseased or something. So I took some of those disease chips with me. And to be honest, I was just looking for any interesting shapes I could find. Luckily, I live near some woods, so I had access to wood. But I think you could find most of these things in your local park, to be honest with you. If you ever wanted to try it yourself, just make sure you just swipe those syringes to the side and those little weird canisters you always find in like parks, little metal canisters, I think. Like, I don't know what they are, but you always find them. So that's what's going to happen in the episode. I had a comment the other day saying, are you trying to phase Cat out of the videos? Like, no, he's just there. He's just really quiet. He's doesn't like the kids. It's fair enough. So I'm going to make something using stuff I find in the woods. Now, I kind of want to keep it in the gutterland, so I figured I'd make a spore bot. Do you remember one of those spore bots? Yeah, I did this little animation to kind of describe it. Basically, they're little things that were dropped on planets that would just grab anything around them and create a body and would just go and kill things. So basically, it's an excuse to make a monster out of anything. But it's all lore, it's all canon. Trust me. So I'm going to imagine a spore bot dropped into the middle of the woods and you needed to make a body. And it will make a body out of anything it's near, like pieces of dead wood, rocks, crystals, stones, bits of metal, anything. And this thing dropped in the woods. So it's going to look like an ant, but it's actually a robot. Are you kind of following? Obviously, this gives me a good premise to make something out of anything, which is exactly what this episode's about. I'm going to be making something completely using just stuff I find in the woods. Flock, I'm thinking about, do I want to use flock or do I have to try and make my own kind of flock? I think I'll probably try and make my own. Or stick around to find out if I do. But yeah, so I want this thing to be kind of spiky, tree, like a eldritch, someone said to me. Maybe eldritch, whatever that means. I should probably look it up. So I just looked it up and it basically means weird, sinister, ghostly. I mean, basically anything I build is kind of eldritch, I guess. So basically it's just going to look like a walking tree or a giant stick insect or a big stick insect tree monster thing with big branches for arms. As long as I get like the little round sphere there, like it's not really a face, it's kind of what it sees out of, and it's it's the CPU, it's the kind of the AI unit of the thing. As long as I get one of those in there, and even that's pretty tricky because usually I would use like a bead, but they don't really grow naturally around here, so I'm gonna have to use something round that I find in the woods, possibly like an acorn. I don't know, do we have acorns around here? I don't go out much. So I was thinking of going like completely bizarre, just a big mass of wood, in like a bit shapeless and a bit weird and a bit eldritch, I guess. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of it having a certain amount of legs, a certain amount of arms, like a recognisable kind of creature made out of wood. So there you go. It might look like one of those, probably won't look like any of those, but it's got the ideas going, it's got the juices flowing, which is, it's all good. So let's just go get some sticks. So this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now, Squarespace is a website where you go to make websites. Now, if you have no idea how to make a website, you don't know how to do with a HTML, is it HTML? I'm not sure. And you just want to make a website about things like, like a pickle website, for example. Like that, like pickle perfection. That's it, Bill. Click there. If you just want to make a website that's quick and easy and clean and nicely designed, then go to Squarespace. I made this website in it must have been like 0.5 seconds. Maybe a little bit longer, I'm not sure, but it was really easy and it looks pretty good, and I will add stuff to it at some point. But if you want to make your own website, there's a sale going on at Squarespace. There's a little link down below. Go and have a look. So I'm just back from the woods and I got my sticks and my acorns and my woody bits and all the bits of wood from the woods. But I did bake them all in the oven for a while before I used them because you've got to sterilise them. And I didn't show it on video because there's lots of videos out there where you can go and find that out for yourself. Or I just completely forgot to film it. Either way I did it, so just save the comments. Now, the one piece of wood I didn't get from the woods is this little coaster, but I did find this on a little foraging mission to the local charity shop, which is going to be the base. Look, I didn't really know how to make a base using stuff. I probably could have cut a big trunk into like a thin slice somehow and made I'm not going to do that. Plus, I'm going to use glue and paint, so, I've already cheated. But the rest of it, honestly, is all from the woods. This glue gun takes forever. How are you? Are you okay? What have you been up to? Been up to anything good lately? So obviously our main structure is going to be made of sticks, lovely sticks. I found these sticks in the wood, I cut them all up. I tried to find the straightest sticks I could find, and I'm going to use these little shears to cut them, which I use to cut everything, but this is their actual purpose, so this is what they're actually made for. So they're actually perfect for the job. I mean, you just do this and then Now, the important thing when making a sculpture or a monster or anything, you need a really good silhouette. Now, I I don't really have a good idea for a silhouette. I'm just going to stick a load of sticks together in some sort of skeletal structure and try and come up with the basic shape of the thing. I'm literally just sticking sticks together. So this is basically my armature. Now I want to get my silhouette right with the armature, but the armature for me is the most boring part. It's basically the structure, and then you get to like build on top of it and make it more exciting. So I'm just gonna wing it, I guess. I guess I could just, it's the most boring part of the build for me, so I'm probably going to talk about something else if that's all right with you. I mean, I've just been out, I had a look around the woods and I saw some rabbits. I saw some rabbits bouncing around, and I also saw loads of little holes, which I assume were mole holes where moles would dig. But then again, I've never seen a mole. I've never ever seen a mole in this country, in the wild. So they could have possibly been rabbit holes. Or dog holes. Dogs might have just dug them. Yeah, it's probably just dogs digging holes. Well, there you go. That's kind of what I've been up to. It's not the most interesting story, but oh look, I'm done with the armature bit there. I'm not sure about that leg at the back. I might get rid of that. Now we need a Spore Bot head or CPU, like the little sphere thing. I can't say sphere properly, and that's acorns, probably like the roundest thing I've got, so I'm gonna have to use that. Now these arms and the legs, they're all kind of just single jointed, and I'm not really too sure if I'm happy with that, but it would involve cutting the whole thing up and re-gluing it all again, which apparently I'm gonna just cut it all up and re-glue it again. Bear with me. And I think that's much better. That's much more kind of insecty. Anyway, let's whittle some wood. I went and bought a wood whittling kit because I'm an outdoorsman now. I went outdoors once, but no, I need to carve up some wood, and I thought I'm not going to use my like craft knives to carve up the wood. I want to use like the real tools. I just like buying tools on Amazon. They provide a plaster, which is quite handy. Now this is a wood chip. You saw me collect these little wood chips from that obliterated tree. I'm not sure what happened to that tree. I guess they chipped it in the middle of the woods. That's kind of strange, but I don't know. But they're going to be handy for our hands. So I'm not trying to make knuckles and the littler knuckles and the littler knuckles underneath that, the tip of your, I don't know what they're called, the smaller knuckles. I'm just letting the wood be the wood, like it kind of bends in places, kind of looks like a hand, it looks like a weird tree hand, which is good enough for me. Hands are hard, tree hands not so hard, but so you may notice I've used hot glue to hold things together, but that's just the initial hold. I kind of cover them in super glue afterwards because I want this thing to last. I made a stick creature out of hot glue once, and it was a hot summer and it just kind of fell. I just found a pile of sticks on my shelf. So these things are nuts, I guess. They might have been half-eaten nuts from a squirrel. Probably a grey American squirrel, because we don't really have any of those red British squirrels anymore. The American ones came over and bred them out of existence, which is why we go over to America with our British accent and try and breed you out of existence. It hasn't really worked. But yeah, when you really look, you find all sorts of weird half-eaten nuts. They just leave their rubbish everywhere, squirrels. It's like us going to McDonald's and leaving Big Mac wrappers everywhere. Little squirrel rant over. What I'm doing now is I'm just taking a load of little twigs and I'm just bulking up these arms a bit, just layering them up with like extra little twigs, adding a bit of texture in there, making it look a bit more gnarly, you know what I mean, a bit gnarly. I'm probably going to have to do that to the legs. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to have to do it to the legs. This did take a while, but don't worry, this isn't even the most tedious part of the build, that comes later. But it does look a lot better. I'd say about 4 times better, 6.5 times better. But let's get it up to like 7.4 times better, shall we? Hello again, me again. This is your usual call to action mid-video, where I tell you to click like and subscribe and share the video with all your friends. Show off how many friends you've got by sharing it to all 2 of them. And, join Patreon. Patreon is a place where you can support the channel by donating a little bit of money. every month, and I provide challenges to my Patreon members. You may have seen it in a previous episode where I share their pieces on camera, and you get to see your stuff appear on an episode. If you'd like to do that, join Patreon, and you get to support the channel. And there'll be a new challenge very soon. Try and guess what it will be. Go. Guess. No, it's not that. Being a YouTuber, running a channel like this is quite, a bit scary. You're not really sure how long it's going to last for. The only way it does last is if you help support it. So if you enjoy it, support it. It's as simple as that, really. And I really appreciate everyone who supports the channel, keeps it going. Everyone else, I could take or leave you, really. I mean, if I saw you in the street, I'd probably say hello, but, depends what mood I'm in. So this is that weird dried wavy wood. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's where I found the wood chips, and we're going to use our new little whittling kit to whittle it. Or basically, I just want some wood shavings. I think the only way I'm going to get like a lot of consistent curly bits is with wood shavings. So obviously, using just twigs and sticks, apart from its natural detail, it's not going to hide a lot of mistakes. There's not a lot of detail that I can add. So I figured if I had a load of wood shavings, I can just add like a rib cage, for example, maybe some spines on the back. I don't know, but I just figured, we need something to just disguise these joints, like this little weird acorn thing. That's not an acorn. Maybe it's like a baby acorn, but I thought an acorn was a baby tree anyway, so I don't know what that is. But we're going to use those as little shoulder joints just to hide the seams there and add a bit of texture. It's just lots of this, just using weird shaped things to add a bit of interesting detail. I guess that's his bum, which would make that his, used to be his, So we need to disguise this orb thing, the spore bot thing, the sphere. We need this acorn, basically. We need this acorn to be disguised. I don't really want you to notice that it's an acorn. So we're just going to add loads of wood shavings all around it. Kind of like a lion's mane. But then I kind of thought it was like a big mouth that would close to kind of protect the CPU, but it's open at the moment. That. And then I kind of went a bit crazy and just covered the whole thing in little wood shavings, like some claws there. I mean, when I said there's a tedious part coming up later, I think this was probably the most tedious part. But it's starting to look like something, isn't it? It's starting to look like something. On my second run to the woods, I say run, it's more like a slow hobble. I found these pine cones, little miniature pine cones, and I'm going to use these for like a spine column or like some scales to maybe blend into these wood chips. And you know what? You think these things would be easy to those little segments, they'd be easy to take apart. They're really hard to take apart. Just thought I'd tell you that. They just really were. So these little acorn bits were kind of like a lifesaver. They kind of helped me hide all the little seams, blend in the joints, the elbow joints and the knee joints and stuff like that. This little half-eaten squirrel nut, I can just pop one there. A little wrist guard to make him look extra cool. And I think that's probably about it for the build. I think we need to make this a little bit more secure though. So I'm going to go for the old black Mod Podge thing, just to make it a little bit extra secure. If you don't know how to make black Mod Podge, it's basically just Mod Podge and some cheap black paint. And then you just mix it all together. Now I have no idea what the measurements are. I just kind of eyeball it. I don't really measure anything. You know me. Bit of water in there, and it's good to go. Now this stuff it works as an undercoat, but it's just like a little extra bit of security. Mod Podge is really good at kind of securing things in place. But that's it for the build. I think once that dries, we can just paint. So this is the part of the video where Bill paints something and then talks about something completely different. Painting time with Bill is boring time with Bill, and boring time with Bill is story time with Bill. But this thing, it's actually quite a pleasure to paint. There's lots of dry brushing, which I do enjoy. But anyway, that's enough of that. Let's talk about spore bots, shall we? Spore bots were a weapon used during the Great War, the Great Galactic War, before, the Great Peace Treaty happened. And spore bots used to be dropped from orbit in canisters. You know, there'd be about 20 of them in one canister. They would drop down on an unsuspecting population. They would crash through roofs and into buildings or into the woods or into anywhere really, and they would just gather up anything around themselves to make themselves deadly. They would just have these tendrils that come out that would kind of act like muscle fibers, and they would just create themselves a body, which made them like the ultimate covert weapon to deploy onto a nation without them even noticing. During the war, there were lots of horror stories. If there's a siege going on in a city and they've dropped some spore bots, you may return home and find this big, giant, horrible monster made out of all your family's picture frames and your kids' toys and your bowling trophy that would then proceed to try and kill you without reasoning and mercy. It would just be... It's kind of like that scene in Akira, you know, when the kids are trying to kill Tetsuo with the toys. It's kind of like that. So during the Great Armistice, when all of the weapons were dumped on the planet of Respite, spore bots, apparently decommissioned spore bots, were dumped on the planet also. But a lot of them are active, and there's been lots of reports of spore bots still up and about, just killing random people and just fulfilling its programming. There's been reports of spore bots made of rusty junk, obviously. There's plenty of that on the planet. There's been spore bots made of wood, spore bots made of old body parts and bones, and there's also been spore bots made of rocks and crystals. So you may be thinking, spore bots can't be that dangerous. You know, don't really have guns, projectiles, anything like that. They can create blades and claws and teeth and things like that. But, why are they so dangerous? Well, you would blow its leg off and it would just rebuild itself, or it would just build another leg. You would blow its whole body off and it would just rebuild again. If you don't destroy the CPU, the sphere that controls it, it would just keep coming back. Many of the active spore bots on the Gutterlands go to the plant. The plant calls out to AI units across the whole planet and calls them to his aid. You know, it's an AI unit in a complex underground, and it repurposes the machine. So there's lots of spore bots that have been repurposed into things like rust husks and things like that. They're pretty easy to control. But there you go, that's what I have to say about spore bots. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, you know, I talked about flock earlier. You know, we didn't have any flock, and I did have a lot of sawdust left over, and I kind of filtered it and I kind of ground it down into a finer sawdust, and I'm going to use that for flock, because, you know, where do you get sawdust from? Trees and wood, and I had a lot of it on my table, so I'm going to use that mixed with a bit of glue, a bit of paint, and try and make some kind of mossy stuff. Enjoy. So I went for like a bony white kind of wood, like the wood would be dead, right? So it's just using old wood from the ground. It's not connected to the ground anymore. It's not sucking up water. It'd be dead wood. But then I figured, you know, it needed a bit of colour, needed some sort of colour in there. So I've just made an orange, a green and a yellow bit of moss. And I'm just going to jam it in these little gaps here. And I think it, you know, makes it pop. This could have been the most tedious part of the build, I'm not sure. There was quite a lot of tedious parts to this build, but I think we're pretty much, I think we're done. So here it is, my spore bot, tree edition. Halfway through this build I was thinking, like, is this just really bad? I've actually made something really bad, and is it going to be a bad video? But to be honest with you, I think it looks alright now. It looks like some sort of creature, like a weird giant walking sunflower. I mean, the flock came out pretty good. But let me know what you think down below in the comments and stuff. Let me know if you like it. If you would like to make something like this and share it on this channel, join Patreon, link down below. So that's it. I'm off on holiday now for a week. Just I won't tell you where it is. It's private island. It's it's not. So it'll be a couple of weeks for the next video, but the kids will be back to school, so you know, I might actually be able to do some work and you know, not waste my time with other stuff. I hope you enjoyed the video. Glamour shots coming up in a minute, I mean, he's still here. Just to let you know, he's still there. He's still there. See you next time. So there we go, my wooden spore bot made out of old dead wood and moss, and I think it looks alright. I was a bit worried halfway through the build. I thought, like, does it just look awful? I mean, it kind of looks alright now. But if you enjoyed this video, join Patreon, because my next challenge for you patrons is going to be to make a spore bot of your own. Now obviously, if you listen to the lore, you can make a spore bot out of anything. It could be junk, could be rocks, could be crystals, could be old dead body parts, whatever you want. But that's going to be the challenge for patrons. So if you want to get involved, go over there and join Patreon. There's a link down below. But all that's left is to thank patrons. I really do love you patrons. I mean, this is the only way this channel can continue, is by patron support. If you like to see stuff like this, join Patreon like these lovely people.